Have you ever felt drained without knowing where it comes from? There was one week last month, I felt so tired that I didn't post any video in this channel. At first, I thought it was this Netflix series I was watching that was draining me. It had some disturbing scenes that really messed up my psyche. While watching the show, I felt both the obsessive energy and the trauma of the main character. It was horrible. But this wasn't a mistake I made. I didn't plan to watch this series at all. As an empath, I know better not to watch anything negative, like the news or anything too violent or sexual. The mistake I made was before I even started watching. However, the irony is, this series actually made me realize what my mistake is and helped me become more aware of this bad habit that I have. And this series is called Baby Reindeer. Baby Reindeer is a story about a struggling comedian who shows kindness to a distraught woman. This woman instantly becomes attached to the comedian and begins stalking him. She emails him 100 times a day and shows up in the bar he was working at every day. The comedian wasn't able to set firm boundaries and reject the woman completely, and their lives got entangled in a messy way. There was one scene in the first episode. They were having coffee, and the comedian rejected the woman by saying that he loves her, but he only loves her as a friend. But when the meeting was over, the comedian actually followed the woman from behind to see where she was living. And I was screaming to my TV, like, no, don't do that. And when the woman requested to add him on the Facebook, again I was like, no, don't add her. But after some thought, the comedian accepted her request. And here's the mistake that both the comedian and I made. It is the curiosity about people and their problems. When the main character followed the woman back home and added her on Facebook, he was thinking that there must be another side to her story. Who is this woman? Why did she end up like this? Why is she stalking me? There must be something that she has experienced that brought her to this state. I watched this series not because I planned to. I didn't even know what Baby Radio was about. It showed up on my homepage and I was intrigued just reading the tagline. I was wondering, what did the comedian do? Why is the woman stalking her? And I went down this rabbit hole because this series is based on a true story. I was so curious that I scoured the internet to find out who the real stalker and abuser is. I have absorbed this obsessive stalking state of mind myself after watching the series. Of course, later in this series, the show explained the deeper reason as to why the comedian befriended the woman. But curiosity is what triggered the whole incident, and as empath, we need to be aware of this and learn to manage it. What if we don't change this habit? You see, compassion comes from the heart, and curiosity comes from the mind. They work hand in hand together. As empath, we know if we misplace our compassion and help the wrong people, it could really get us into trouble. But what most of us tend to overlook is our curiosity for people, which is the mind. Not only do we feel for other people, we want to understand what they are going through. Especially if we felt their emotion in our body, we may be curious to know what makes them feel this way. And we may start asking them more questions like, what's wrong? What happened? This sort of opens the floodgate that allows the other person to keep pouring all their complaints to you. It can help the other person to release some of their pain, but at the same time, we get fed more of their negative energy, and this can easily drain us. It's just like how the main character showed kindness to the woman initially by offering her a free drink, and later he got deeper and deeper into this entanglement. Curiosity kills the cat, and with so many triggers on social media, on TV platforms like Netflix, we have to be really careful. So how can we manage our curiosity better? Recently, I saw this YouTube video pop up on my feed. It's about an ICU nurse who turned into an inmate because of his drug addiction. And I was intrigued. I wanted to click on that video. But then I paused for a moment. What does this have to do with me? I'm neither an ICU nurse nor an inmate. I didn't have a drug addiction. Why am I so curious and wanted to know what happened to him? The first thing we need to do to manage our curiosity is to be aware. We need to be aware of the times when we are curious. Because when I paused, I didn't watch that YouTube video. There's actually nothing wrong with being curious about things. It can lead to new discovery and fun, but sometimes we are curious about things that has nothing to do with us. Or even worse, as an empath, we seem to be very interested in other people's problems and their struggles. When we keep focusing on other people's problems, we open up ourselves to more chances of getting drained. We really have to be careful where we place our attention. So the next step after being aware is to ask yourself, what does this have to do with me? Do I really need to know this information? This may sound a little bit self-centered, but it's crucial for empaths to stop and ask this question. It helps you shift your attention back to yourself and prevent your attention from automatically flowing to the other person. We can still have compassion for someone, but we don't need to ask them for the details. If I feel someone's energy and I know they are upset, I may empathize with them, but I don't need to know what happened to them or help them resolve their problems. Sometimes it can be helpful to ask them what happened, just to show care and concern. But most of the time, I feel that it's best to leave the other person alone and deal with their own problems. You can still show care and concern in other ways, like giving them their own space, helping them with some of the daily household chore or tasks. You kind of want to gauge which is better. And to manage my curiosity, I find it helpful to keep telling myself that I don't need to know everything. If it has nothing to do with me, I shall just mind my own business. I don't need to know what happened to the ICU nurse and his drug addiction. I don't need to know what happened to the comedian and his stalker. And I don't need to know about all the crimes, the cults, and all the evil things that other people have done. I'm interested in human psychology. And whenever I see a crime documentary on Netflix, I'm like, why does the person want to commit this crime? Like, is it because of their childhood or some trauma they have experienced? I get curious and want to know what causes a criminal to behave this way. But every time I watch the documentary, I don't get any answers. Instead, I always felt drained and needed to take a nap. After realizing that curiosity is a bad habit I have, it has really helped me to protect my energy from the negativity, which I don't need to be involved in. I stopped watching the never-ending crime or cult documentary on Netflix. I stopped watching Baby Reindeer in the middle of episode 6, one episode before the end of the series. I don't need to know what's the ending or what happened. I have more energy to focus on things that truly matters to me, things that benefit me and help me grow, and also help uplift others. But your curiosity isn't the only habit that is keeping you drained. There are 5 more habits empaths need to be aware of. Watch this next video to learn how you can change them.